Alright guys, welcome back to Section 17, the All Captain America fights. And this time, this fight comes from GeorgeMister. And GeorgeMister pits the likes of Captain America against the Comedian. Now, let's talk a bit about the Comedian. The Comedian is from the Watchmen comic, from the Alan Moore's Watchmen comics. And in here, he's kind of like, I guess you could say he's like the anti-Captain America. His real name is Edward Morgan Blake. He is the biological father of the second Silk Spectre. He was a member of also the Minutemen, and he was involved in the Vietnam War and its victory in their universe alongside Dr. Manhattan. And in here, he also did a lot of wet work stuff for America before his death at the beginning of the comic. Now, the Comedian is a horrible human being, but however, he's a well-trained horrible human being. He's well proficient in hand-to-hand combat. He's an excellent marksman, as well as he's also proficient in blades, small firearms, explosives, and he's pretty damn good with a flamethrower now and again. The Comedian is more or less, he is a normal human being. He is just an average human being, but his hand-to-hand fighting skills are pretty damn excellent. Too bad they didn't help him after Adrian Fight threw his ass out the window, right? But anyway, the Comedian is a very cynical and also very intelligent fighter. He's incredibly intelligent. He knows how to strategize, but there are some times where he just kind of gets a little too arrogant and just a little too ahead of himself, and usually is sometimes too drunk or too high out of his mind to even think of a plan. But he is very intelligent, but he's more of a doer than he is a thinker at some points. But yeah, that is just a little bit about the Comedian. Even though he did have a major impact on obviously to start off the whole story of Watchmen. On the other hand, we don't know a lot about him, but we do know is that he was a dangerous human being. Also, very unstable. He was also very cynical as well. So he was just a powder keg waiting to waiting to happen. He was a violent human being, smart but violent. Anyway, so that's a little bit about the Comedian. So how well would Steve Rogers hold his own against the likes of the Comedian? Let's find out. So Captain America versus the Comedian. Oh boy. Now these two would not get along. These two would not get along in the slightest. I could definitely see Captain America looking at the Comedian, being like, you know, you pretty much spit on everything I stand for. You spit on every value, every right of the American people. You're a cynical human being, and you are nothing more than a criminal in my eyes. Cap would look at Blake as Cap would definitely look at the Comedian as a criminal. And he wouldn't really condone a lot of his actions, especially in Vietnam. He would be like, "I'm taking your ass down." And Cap has fought his share of very strong hand-to-hand fighters in his life. He's taken on I bet there are a few of his villains like Batroc and Crossbones who are kind of like the closest you could say are those two among Captain America's rogues. But yeah. Steve, of course, has the super soldier serum in him that allows him to go longer. He's also given enhanced strength, speed, agility, and stamina. And thanks to the serum, it does give him a bit of a healing factor. However, it doesn't work like Wolverine's, where he gets cut, he just instantaneously heals. No, he just heals quick. His metabolism is sped up, and also the cartilage in his body can heal up faster than a normal human being's. But having said that, you got to look at it that Cap is at peak physical condition mixed with, that serum. Then you have Blake, who is also at peak physical condition, but on the other hand, he's just a human being. He can get tired. He can get worn out. He can, easily, his body can just get worn down while Steve can keep going a few rounds. He can take the pain. I mean, Comedian can take a lot of punishment too. Not so much getting thrown out of a window and out of a very high building, mind you. That kind of stamina doesn't work for him. But however, he can. The comedian can take some punishment. He has had a lot of training, and he's, like I said, a very good hand-to-hand fighter. But however, like I said with Cap can keep going. No matter how many times he gets punched by the comedian, he's just going to be like, "What? I can keep going. Every time I punch you, I'm probably breaking a bone." And we also have to look at that Cap shield. Those bullets, that whatever gun that that the comedian shoots him with, Cap shield can just ricochet right off of his shield. Now you can easily say, what if somehow the comedian gets Cap's shield away from him? Cap's still a damn good fighter without that shield. Now I'm not trying to sound like, oh, Cap's gonna win this fight, because I'm not trying to sound like, oh, there's no way the comedian can beat Captain America. Oh no, there's a good chance you can kill. Captain America, even though he's a super soldier, he can die. He can be killed. You cut his throat, he'll die like any other normal human being. Or you shoot him in the head, he can die like any human being. But however, Cap's very intelligent. Like I said, Blake's a little unstable, isn't he? He's a little out of it, and that's his human. He's only just a human. Cap is pretty much superhuman. But Cap can still be killed. I mean, like I said, the comedian's is pretty much crazy like a fox. So there's a good ass chance that the comedian could come out on top. This is a really goddamn close fight for me. This is a really damn close fight for me. I mean, this could easily work in Blake's favor. This could even go in Cap's favor. But in the end, I think in terms of battle experience, I mean, Cap has fought gods, robots, monsters, all kinds of crazy shit. And whereas the comedian's pretty much only fought Viet Cong and, done some wet work for the governments. So in a close match, I'm going to give this to Cap. But the comedian could easily take this. But what do you got? That's just my personal opinion. Like I said, this is a really close fight. So I really want to know, who do you guys think would win? Captain America or the comedian? And once again, thank GeorgeMister for this fight. GeorgeMister, excuse me, for this fight. This fight came from him. And stay tuned for the next one. All right, later.